whining, so we headed out to the Puget Sound to fish for something, and not a lot of opportunity with blackmouth closed this year, so we're out with Brianna Bruce with Livin Life Charters for some squidding. First time we've ever done it, but she's dialed in. She's the queen of everything of fish in Washington. So show us how it's done. What do we got to do here?
So squidding is really simple. We use squid jigs, which are these guys, and you can get them in all shapes, sizes, colors. We like to use 3 jigs and we stack them. So the bottom one is going to be the heaviest one, and out here in the boat we're dealing with wind and current and everything, unlike people at the pier. So we're using some extra lead. We got 2-ounce cannonball on there, 1-ounce jig. We use a little bit lighter jig in the middle, and then my deckhand Tanya makes up these floating with corkies jigs for the top. And that way this floats them up and it keeps them all from tangling up. If you had a heavy one on the top and a lighter one on the bottom, or they were all the same size, as you jig them, they're gonna end up getting tangled up on each other. And this just keeps them lined out straighter. You can use either mono in between them, or I like to use some of these wire leaders with a little bit of glow tubing on them. It adds a little extra glow down there, a little more attraction to them. But I always like to have at least the bottom one have some mono on it, so that if you get hung up, you can break them off, because we're using 30-pound braid for mainline.
But mostly you see people kind of shoulder to shoulder at a pier at night, and got all these LEDs. We're out here in the middle of the day. Tell me what the difference is.
So the nice thing about the boat is that we can go follow the schools around. So we actually come out and we idle around until we find a school of squid, and then I'll go back up on top. I'll set a waypoint on my fish finder, because I have a GPS fish finder. I'll set a waypoint, go back up to the top of them, and set my drift with the current and the wind direction, so that I go back over them. And I'll back troll the boat into the wind and the current, so that our lines stay vertical and we stay over that school longer. And we have to reset a few times, but we can stay on top of them a lot easier. We don't have to wait for them to swim through like you do at the pier. We can follow them. So if that school dissipates, or we spook them or catch them all, we can go around and we can find another school with the boat. And that way we can get out deeper where they usually are during the day. Where at the pier, you have to wait for an incoming tide and the dark with the lights that attracts them to bring them in shallower to the pier.
So basically we can do this any time of day, a little bit helpful on tide dependent, you said, with incoming tides.
Yeah.
But anytime, all year round, we can chase these.
Yeah, you definitely have a better chance of finding larger numbers and larger squid in the winter. Usually we start to see them around October, sometimes as early as September. We'll start to see them moving in shallower. But as the winter goes on, they get bigger and bigger until they spawn.
All right, well, we're on the Salty Dog out here in the Puget Sound. Let's get out and motor around and see if we can find a school. Tanya will show us how it's done.
So as we are motoring around, we're looking for marks that would appear to be squid. So you can see how they show up as lines a lot more than an arc like a fish. Like that's probably a fish. But these all schooled up like that, they usually stack on top of each other and they'll show up as lines. So I will set a waypoint here, and then that shows up on my other screen and I can see where those squid have been, and I can try to set my drift so that I go through my marks and try to hit those squid as best I can.
Deckhand and resident squid pro Tanya McMillan shows us how to properly jig as we drift over a school of squid. She drops down to the bottom where the marks on the fish finder are showing the school, comes up a couple of cranks, and starts slowly jigging. Hopefully they take the bait, as we should be right in the middle of them.
So when you're dropping, it's pretty consistent. It feels the same as you're going down. When a squid hits, you'll feel a tap, or you'll feel extra weight added to your line when you come back up.
So definitely noticeable.
Definitely noticeable.
It didn't take long for Tanya to hook up. Right on cue, up comes the first squid of the day.
I didn't put the bucket in a good spot, but there you go.
After the quick lesson from Tanya, Tanya, it was our turn to drop a rod in the water and see if we could hook up too. It wasn't long though before Tanya hooked up again.
Tanya's got one.
I'm kind of going down. I'm almost still on the bottom. And jigging up. I don't know what it feels like. So I'm waiting for the first hit. See if I can get one to stick on. Oh yeah! First one. That can definitely fit. That was like a pull down. I just really wasn't expecting it.
Just like that. There you go. I'm going to hand that over to you because I don't want to put a jig in my hand.
So we're currently on the incoming tide, and I usually like to squid the incoming. Out here in the boat, it doesn't seem to matter quite as much, but the incoming, they'll push up against, you know, they'll kind of start to come in shallower or group up a little bit better. Our high tide slack is around 11 o'clock today, 10:30 or 11. So as we go, should be less wind and there will be less current, and it just gets easier and easier to catch squid. So we're starting off where it's going to be a little bit slow, and it should just get better. Over.
Get better it did. Even Mike Perry, aka Jerky Tooth, hooked up, and we started slaying the squid.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why we keep them out there.
Okay.
First squid. What do you think?
Good.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
And had a double. Tanya's got one on too.
Just take your rod straight up. Take your rod up, and then line out.
Oh. Tanya currently killing it over here in this school.
This is more the average size.
Yeah. Two.
First double of the day. I think as soon as I said swing and a miss, my squid said yeah, nah, and then went and hit his.
And Tanya's the only one that came up with one. Now, Tanya, when you catch one, are you supposed to say, release the Kraken?
No, you don't want to release the crab.
Okay, all right. Into the bucket,
I
though.
want to. Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
This one also has a bumper.
What do you say?
Release the Kraken.
Release it in the bucket, not in the water.
Take the bumper off.
Tanya's got one. Sean's got one. It was double.
I think something's on there. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Big
Keep
one.
reeling, reel. Up, up. Oh, the monster.
It's a monster.
Whoa. Wow. Woo. Now we're back at the dock. We've got some buckets full of squid. What do we do now?
So the process for cleaning squid is pretty simple. There's a couple different ways you can go about it. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there too. I'm going to just show you the way that I do it. So the first step you want to make sure the squid are dead. So you can tell they're dead because they've turned white. The live ones are going to be very brown. They're going to be very angry. So the first step is with the tentacles. So they're going to have 2 of these little grabbers. You want to take these off. These are going to be a little more tough, not quite as tasty to eat. So to get those off, you just pull them right off. So the next step is to take the tentacles off. The tentacles are my favorite part to eat. I think they're more tender. They taste great. To do this, you need to get the beak out. So that's that hard little part right in there. You don't want to try and eat that. To do this, you cut right above the eyes, and then the beak pops out the back. Like so. So now when you go to cook this, you can either cut this down so it's in a smaller piece, or you can cook this as is, whatever kind of works for you. The section cups are still a little sticky, but that's ready to go. So to do the body of the squid, this is a personal preference of mine. I prefer to take the skin off. It's pretty easy. You start at the wings. Use your thumb just to separate right there. This is where it might get messy. The ink in there, the ink sac, they probably still have a little bit left in there and it's going to burst and get all over. So don't do this where you're going to get something nice dirty. It washes off pretty quick, but a lot of people will leave the skin on. This is, again, just a personal preference. It comes off pretty easy. So the next step is to clean the body out. So on the backbone, this is the only hard piece that's in the squid, which is going to be this piece of cartilage right here. So you're going to take your thumbnail and kind of get underneath there. So you're loosening it from the body of the squid. So you want to run your thumb or your finger all the way to the back of the squid to get that disattached. So once that's done, you can grab the head, grab the spine, and just kind of rotate it out. And most of the guts are going to come with it. So now, if you're doing this at home, or when you get home, you're going to want to take this under cold water and just rinse out all the rest of the kind of ink and all that's in there.
All right, Brianna, that was awesome. Our first squidding trip, even old Jerky Tooth got a few. So tell people what they need to do to get in contact with you to come out and try squidding, or any of the other things that you do.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook, actually. Facebook Messenger, on my business page, or if you're on my personal page, that too. Email gofish@livinlifeadventures.com. That's living without the G. Email, that kind of thing. I'm out of service a ton with my phone. You can text me or call me, and I try to get back, but I'm way better about responding to email or messages. You can call 206-714-2112, and we can get you out for whatever you really want in Washington. If it's not a tuna and it's not on the peninsula, I pretty much do it. We've got salmon out here, squid and flounder out here in the sound, crabbing, and then in the freshwater I do rivers and lakes and pretty much anything in between western and eastern Washington.
That's why I call her the queen of Washington fishing. Right now in December though, great time for squidding. Nobody else out there with us, and we just filled our buckets full of squid. So come give it a try. She fishes all year round for all sorts of different stuff. Thank you so much. We had a great time.
Thanks
Can't wait
for
to see
coming
you again.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see our latest videos as they come out. Follow us on Instagram at Bucking Outdoors, and like us on Facebook to follow all the Bucking Outdoors adventures.